Alright, Chapter 5, Seaport. 501 purpose to provide military movement and transportation planners additional information with the planning and implementation for the use of sea transportation resource for the support of NATO military operations. General nations are responsible to provide with the military and civil sea transport asset necessary to deploy and sustain and redeploy with the forces contribute to the NATO military operation. Characteristics of movement in sea, although normally slower than other methods, have an advantage that heavy bulk and loads can be transported over the distance and provided with a suitable shipping and portable facility available. 504 military sea transportation and military shipping remains under the national control. However, the nations will with surplus shipping may offer the assets for the use of the nations of the Allied movement coordinated with the century, as also may request the nations to identify the available surplus shipping capacity of the cooperative and shared use. 505 civil seaport transportation. Military movements may rely heavily upon vessels obtained directly from the commercial shipping market and upon utilization of the normal liner service. However, the nation may encounter difficulty acquiring sufficient capacity of preferred type of ships to meet the military requirements. The nation should consider coordinating their acquisitions activities close to cooperation with the movement and transportation planning for the other nations and the Allied movement coordination century. During the movement and the planning conferences of the coordinated should result in more than efficiency using ships and could avoid the increased charter rates. 506 requests of civil experts and assistance. Requests for civil expertise assistance initiation study for the particular sea leave problem should be forwarded to the strategic command through the civil emergency planning to the experts of the planning board on open ocean shipping. This page is intentionally left blank. Chapter 6, air transportation. Hell, I'm just going to read it. Alright, Chapter 6, Air Transportation. Provide the military movement and transportation planners with additional information on the planning and use of the air transportation assets, support of the NATO military operation. General nation responsibly provide military, civil, and air transportation as an asset necessary to deploy, sustain, and redeploy the forces contributing to the NATO military operation. Nation should pursue bilateral agreements with other nations for the use of the military and civilian air transportation and prior to the requesting assistance from the NATO and other organization procedures for the requesting provided with the air transport assets for the cooperative and or shared as found in the ATP 53 or NATO air transport and its policies and procedure for successing documentation. 603 characteristics. The main attribute to the air transportation is speed of the flexibility, use of the air transportation, limited to the aircraft capacity available, the airfields, weather conditions, handling aids. Weight and conventions of the material to be moved may also be the limiting factors. Contain certain categories of hazardous material are prohibited from carriage by air, military air transportation. Nations retain full command of the control over the military air transportation assets. Nations are encouraged to make available surplus airlift capacities under the military control of the NATO military command or coordinated with the cooperative and shared use. However, the nations are and allocate the transportation resource under the operational control of the NATO commander in certain instances for a particular period or task. The transportation resource assigned to the NATO use will be task coordinated prior to the approved of the joint force commander and the COM coordinated with the joint chief task force movement and transportation staff of the regional airlift coordinated with the Sentry. Task execute the air transportation joint operation air with the movement and transportation coordinated if established in close coordinated with the regional airlift coordinated with Sentry. Manage the NATO assigned with the transportation resource provided with the common NATO logistic using through the joint operations area. 605 civil aviation assets. Military movements will, in most cases, rely upon air transportation resources that are acquired directly through the commercial aviation market. National plan for the use of commercial aviation resources during operation retain control over the acquired air transportation assets. However, the nation may encounter difficulties in acquiring the air transportation resources. To meet the military requirements, should there be coordinated with the charting of the activities of close operation military planners from the other nations that could result in most efficient use of the aircraft and could retain an escalating chart for the high rates. 606. Request of civil expertise assistance. Request for civil air expertise air transportation assistance or for initiating studies on particular air transportation problems should be forwarded to the strategic commander from the civil and emergency planning to the expertise of Civil Aviation Planning Committee. Chapter 7, Inland Surface Transportation. 701, purpose to provide the military movement and transportation planners and information for the planning using inland surface transportation resources for the support of NATO operations. The inland surface transportation encompasses the use of the port, beaches, roads, railroad, inland waterways, transportation modes, as well as intermodality with one or more of these modes required for the accomplished deployment, sustainment, redeployment of the force of producers for the requesting provided with the inland surface transportation resources that are now found on the Allied Movement Publication 1-4. The Inland Surface Transportation Planning for the use of the remaining full under national control during the operations unless nation elect to provide the capability of the NATO in their form of multiple national integrated logistics unit. However, the planning requirements coordinated between the nations relevant and headquarters due to the limited availability of military inland surface transportation resources. Civil resources will be necessary to meet operational requirements. Consequently, assured to assess the civil transportation resource will be beneficial. Selections and mode will take into account with the specific lift and requirements, characteristics, capability, availability, cost effectiveness as are factors deciding up on with the mode of the transportation combining there as to be used. The inland surface transportation has been coordinated with the responsible national authorities. See also Chapter 10. Permission to cross borders into the non-NATO countries may be difficult to obtain. Nations should be coordinated with the appropriate authorities as early as possible. 703, characteristics of road transportation. The main characteristic of the road movement is flexibility in respect of the significant advantages over the rail movement, and the addition with the essential adjunction to all other methods of movement. The intra-regional movement of forces and accompanying stocks are normally executed with military organic vehicles. Railroad transportation. Railroad transport is normally the most suitability means for the movement of large quantities of material over the long distance of land. There are limitations of the dimension of the items which may be moved by the rail, and the intra-European movements between the northern and southern regions could be hampered by limitation by the rail board crossing capabilities. Transport into the east outside NATO territories will be hampered by the different gauges using Russia and also combined communication, information, and systems nations. Inland waterway transportation. Inland waterway transportation may be operated through rivers, canals, inland sea lakes, and it can be valuable for movement of the bulk by the supply of sea speed transportation. Not essential, but the topographically restricts other forms of the movement since the regulated traffic can ensure the study of the routine deliver and the continuing basis than normally required by the lifting facilities of the port of embarkment and the point of disembarkment. Request for civil expertise and assistance. Request for civil expertise, assistance, and or further initiating studies with particular inland surface transportation problems should be forwarded to the service commander through the civil emergency planning to expertise the planning board of inland surface transportation. Chapter 8, Civil Transportation Experts Support.